Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the little delay. I had to figure something out. It wouldn't let me go live for some reason, but I got it. We're all good. So I wanted to come on live because I've noticed that a lot of us have been going through a lot of stress lately. I've noticed a lot of, in myself even, a lot of anxiety. Insomnia is back. Just all of the consequences of everything that's been going on. And that's not just for me, but I think all of us are kind of going through that. So just wanted to come on and talk about it a little bit and also hear from you. So I'm going to put up the link to the, what is this called? StreamYard. So if you want to come on, just please feel free. Okay, so this is a link, and I think I can pin it or something like that. Okay, I think that worked. Sorry if I'm slow today. So just to get us started, I wanted to look at what the CDC recommends. 1 second. All right, so this is their info, whatever it's called, info, help me out. Infograph, whatever. So they're saying after disaster, it's important to take care of your emotional health. I agree with that. Pay attention to how you and your family members are feeling and acting. That's an interesting way of putting it. Acting. Taking care of your emotional health will help you think clearly and react to urgent needs to protect yourself and your loved ones. Follow these tips to help you and your family recover or find support. How to help your children. Talk with them. Share age-appropriate information. Reassure them. Address rumors. Answer questions. I think the first part, sharing age-appropriate information, that's tricky. What is age-appropriate? I mean, I don't have kids, but I'd be curious to hear from you. Some common signs of distress is feeling shock, numbness, or disbelief, change in energy or activity levels, difficulty concentrating, changes in appetite, sleeping problems or nightmares, feeling anxious, fearful, or angry, headaches, body pain, or skin rashes. Chronic health problems get worse, increased use of alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. Seek help from your healthcare provider if these stress reactions interfere with your daily activities for several days in a row. And there are several numbers here too for those of you who, the substance abuse and mental health disaster distress hotline. And steps to care for yourself, take care of your body, try to eat healthy, exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, and avoid alcohol and other drugs. I say, yeah, right. This is like a one-size-fits-all approach, and it sounds easy in theory, but in practice, it's not realistic for everyone. So connect, share your feelings with a friend or a family member, maintain relationships, and rely on your support systems. So I think this is an important one. We are social beings. We're social animals, so we do need others we do need to connect. So whether that's with your friends or family members, whether that's in different online communities, whether that's on YouTube, and it's just important for us to feel connected and to feel like we are part of something. Take breaks, make time to unwind, try to return to activities that you enjoy. I think this one gets, for me at least personally, I think taking breaks, it's difficult to kind of adjust to the idea of taking breaks when we're literally asked to stay home 24/7. And I found that for myself, home is a place where I am relaxed and I can unwind. But right now, I think that's a little bit blurry with, having to work from home, not being able to do whatever your routine was. So it's difficult to really take breaks because you feel like, well, at least for me, I feel like I need to be doing something. I should be doing something. So that's where the anxiety for me comes in a little bit. So it's a nice reminder to say that it is okay to take breaks. I was definitely initially when we went on lockdown, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought, okay, this is gonna be like a vacation. But definitely is not at all. At all. And then the other thing is too, with the amount of information that's out there, and half of the country is opening back up, the other, or not country, but world, half of the world is not, and you're getting different information from different sources. It's difficult to know what to believe, what's credible, what's valid, what isn't. So a lot of confusion for everybody, and no answers. Our news says, I cannot take breaks. I have a toddler and a 9-month-old. That sounds stressful. Yes, I agree, Stephanie. Anything in excess is not good. And I think that in times of uncertainty, such as this, where we literally are facing our own humanity, I guess, in the sense that we're realizing, oh, we really don't have that much control over our own lives as we'd like to think. So that's stressful in itself. But, being home alone, I am an introvert a bit, so I don't have a problem with that. But in excess, and also kind of like against your will, that's like a different dynamic, for me at least. That's a great point, Jana. Now with a lot of people returning back to work, and the safety of that, how safe is it to be around people? And I definitely do not want to spread any misinformation here, because I don't know everything, obviously. So I encourage everyone to do their own research on this. But when it comes to the virus. The purpose of this is more for us to just talk about what's been working for us in terms of coping with it. Yes, I've read that on different sites as well, that a lot of people are using this time to clean and organize. Hi, Belinda, welcome. And this is another thing that I screenshotted from the CDC. And they suggest that some of the tips, the first one is pause, breathe, and notice how you feel. And I think this is a really important one. So what does pausing look like for you guys? Pausing and breathing and noticing how you feel. What does that look like? Oh, hi, Megan. Yes, I am live. And like I said, the link is pinned in the comments if you want to call in or chat about your experience. Yes, there's definitely an increase of alcohol use, substance abuse, and all of that during times like this. Yes, Angelina, I feel the same. This is a time where it's very, very easy to succumb to bad habits for everyone. So it's really important to stay aware of yourself, which is, I think, the part that they're saying, to be kind to your mind, basically be mindful of your own shortcomings, I guess, and how they can create traps in times like this. Because we're good at rationalizing everything. We're good at intellectualizing things and making sense of things. And I tend to get excessive in, or overindulge in things that I enjoy, whether it's being on my phone, whether it's eating, stuff that I shouldn't be eating. It's easy to, sorry if you hear this really loud motorcycle. So yeah, it's easy to tip over into the overindulgence side. Oh, it's okay, I'll start on Monday, and all the excuses. Food. Yes, that's an easy one too. I relate. I relate to that. The amount of chocolate that I've eaten in these past few months is unreal. I can imagine, Jennifer. I think for individuals in recovery from substance abuse, for a lot of people, in my experience, I found that a lot of people find the 12-step meetings to be very helpful, and they use the meetings regularly and meet with people and socialize with other individuals in recovery. And so, again, it's that social interaction, it's that relating between people that helps maintain sobriety and helps people stay in recovery. And now, without being able to do that, I've seen that a lot of like Zoom meetings have started. They're doing the meetings over using Zoom and things like that. So I don't know. I know for a fact that it's not a replacement for the actual meetings, but it's something people are trying to figure it out. Yes, accountability. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Jennifer, and congratulations. 4 years is a very long time. And when you say it's rearing its ugly head, what does that look like? I'm imagining it's maybe more cravings, certain things look tempting. But yeah, thank goodness for not just the internet, but us humans being resilient and being able to adapt to these situations. As much as it's stressful for all of us as a collective, I feel like the way that we've all responded to this, of course, it's been mixed, but overall, I feel like it just shows that we can adapt to unimaginable situations. This is like some purge stuff. That's what I compared it to for a while when it first set into motion. Oh my God, isn't that frustrating, Megan? Yeah, I do tend to get frustrated when I see others doing things that don't make sense. But I don't know if you've heard the expression anger is like me drinking the poison expecting the other person to die, basically. So again, like finding a balance. Like I do get angry, when people touch everything, or they use the gloves, or they use gloves and then touch everything under the sun, and then go on their phone with the same gloves and then put that same nasty, dirty ass phone on their face. Like, yes, it's annoying. But here I am getting mad over it, and the other person is just living their life, and so it's like unnecessary, right? Well, that's a new one. You try really hard to be in denial. I found that denial is not only a river in Egypt. That was cheesy, but Then they're the people that I see with their masks like covering their mouth but not their nose. And I'm not a medical pulmonologist. Like, I don't know what it does or what it doesn't, but common sense would tell me that, well, what the hell is the point? So I don't know. But again, we're just bombarded with a lot of different information, a lot of conflicting information, a lot of this and that. So who knows? I mean, Ivy Rose, yeah, like I said, I mean, there's going to be a lot of information out there that I don't know. I just urge everyone to do their own research. I wonder how she's coping. You know, sometimes our mind is our worst enemy, to be honest, at least for me. And I can't imagine NK sitting at home, not being able to do anything and resisting the urge to research herself on the internet. NK has her mask, but true crime in Colorado are unmasking it one mask by one. So procrastination is my worst enemy. Literally. Obviously, we all know that we all have certain defense mechanisms, and sometimes defense, like when people say you're being defensive or defense mechanisms, comes with like a negative connotation, like a negative stigma. But the way that I see it is our defense mechanisms help us survive, and defense mechanisms are good. Like, we have good defense mechanisms, and then we have defense mechanisms that are not so helpful in the long run. They might fix the problem temporarily, but in the long run, it's like a bad cycle. So yeah, I have no idea why. Oh yeah, procrastination, yes. So and for me, I've noticed that like there are certain defense mechanisms, and I think it's the same for a lot of people, but we have certain defense mechanisms that we kind of rely on more than others, whether that's conscious or not. And mine is definitely avoidance. Like, I will avoid everything until the very last possible second. And then when the pressure gets really high, that's when I'll go into like superwoman mode and get everything done. And it's not healthy at all. At all. I'm doing it again, listening to her too much. But it gets the job done. and getting the job done under so much pressure and getting it done on time and getting positive feedback for it reinforces me to do it all over again next time. Like, okay, I can do this. I got away with this. So what's the point of planning ahead? That's how I got through school. That's how I got through life, but again, it's not healthy in the long run. So there are times where avoidance, which is part of denial as well, I feel like it's necessary, it's good, and it's one of the steps of grieving. We need it. But I think the self-awareness piece then needs to be there as well, so that you can, moderate yourself. Projection is a huge one as well, which also, again, whoever we're projecting on is not the issue. I know for me, at least, when I catch myself projecting my feelings onto someone else, it has nothing to do with the other person. It's all me not being able to manage my feelings effectively. So I just get rid of them by giving them to someone else, so I don't have to deal with them. That's avoidance. That's procrastination, because it will come back eventually. Yes, this is definitely another way we as humans cope, is by, again, there's that belonging of, I'm using my skills in order to help my community. So you belong to something, and you're also doing something meaningful and useful. And so, yeah, absolutely, that's definitely one way to cope with stress, is to step outside of yourself, because we tend to get trapped in our heads and become a little self-absorbed and self-centered, really. But it's normal. So definitely stepping outside of yourself, taking the focus onto the other in a way where you can be useful, where you have purpose, rather than focusing on the other in a negative way. Oh yeah. Sometimes people are definitely annoying. Don't get me wrong, for sure. But again, the part that I want to drive home is like what we do with it and how we deal with it is what determines whether or not it's healthy or not. I mean, of course, hatred is very unhealthy, but how do I deal with myself when I see another person being very, very hateful? How is that going to affect me? Because I can't change other people. Thank you so much, Janice. Thank you very much. That's so kind of you. Ivy Rose says, I so much wish that staying busy was my coping style. My mom is like that and makes me jealous. Yeah, there's the other side of that coin then too, is where you're literally just stuck in like a vacuum and almost kind of like a paralysis. Well, 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 look who decided to grace us with her presence. This is my sister. Welcome. Angelina, your humor, I don't know why I just got really loud. Sorry about that. But humor is definitely another one of my go-to mechanisms. And I'm definitely with humor, I can go from it being very healthy to being one another elaborately disguised avoidance strategy. So I'm scrolling back to see Angelina's joke. I can't find it. Oh, yes. Hey, do you want to come chat with us, Lady Justice? I think you've been doing a lot of research on this stuff, so maybe you have some good insight for us too. Oh crap, what am I doing? Oh yes. That's the positive side of having masks. Oh my god, where is it snowing? And yes, I completely forgot. Sorry about that. But happy Mother's Day to all the mamas. Oh my God. Look at this, guys. At least you embrace that, sis. No one's coming on. I was hoping you guys would, but this is fine too. Whatever works for you. Lord knows I can talk. I get my humor by obsessively looking at memes all day. And it's also interesting to kind of think about and reflect on what type of memes, for example, I'm drawn to, and it's usually the darker ones, like dark humor and stuff like that. So I think that's also very telling. It's like, for me, I think personally, depending on the topic, but for me personally, it's almost like whatever the topic of the meme is a little bit scary for me. So laughing at it almost kind of like gives me power over it. So it minimizes its danger, if you know what I mean. Angelina, no, I had no idea. No, we're getting rain here. It's raining here right now. But it's starting to look more like spring. Yes, they do. Some people find it offensive. There's too much to be self-aware of, right? Like what I think might be funny is not going to be funny for others, obviously. Like everything else, we're all our own individuals. Yes, you can't and you shouldn't. That shouldn't be the aim of life, to please people or to be one way or another for others. There you go. Exactly. Jaina says you just have to be yourself. And in order to be yourself, you have to know yourself. And if you don't take the time to get to know yourself, we're just going to be a bundle of angry, resentful, just unhappy people. Oh, that's interesting, Ivy. If you want to share about it, what you've learned about it and what you found interesting, that would be awesome. Oh, yes, Stephanie, I found the same. Like I have a little bit of a morbid sense of humor, and I'm also very sarcastic, and sometimes it takes time for people to like adapt to my sense of humor. But once they do, they don't think of me as being, like serial killery. Oh my gosh, Finland. Wow. What do you mean, Angelina, by breakdowns? Oh, thank you, Janice. Janice says, I wanted to say something about NK just for a moment. NK said she was the mother of his kids, as if CW has more kids. Makes you think she's speaking as if she is with child. She was a mother of 2 of his kids. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Like as if almost like sounding like she's could be saying that, well, he has more than 2 kids, but she's the mother of 2 out of however. Yeah. I don't know. I've definitely considered that, or considered the possibility of her being pregnant, but the only thing that could potentially support that theory is her being sick. But then again, it's not nearly enough to argue that yes, she was indeed pregnant. And then you have the Venmo transactions. So, but that too is pure speculation. So I mean, it's definitely a possibility, but we don't know. I love how our self-care talk turned turned into NK talk, but that's all right. Oh, I'm just going to also just put this up there just so it's there. But this is from the CDC as well, by the way. Excuse me, Ivy Rose is dropping some knowledge. Queen Moomin, she says, I'm practicing intermittent fasting. So far, I've managed to go 10 minutes without eating. Speaking of fasting, it's also Ramadan at the moment, and I'm wondering what that's like. That must be difficult to fast and not be able to leave your house, like fasting at home. I can't even imagine. Yeah, there's so many different personality styles as well. So the human mind is fascinating. Always has been for me. That sounds good. Excellent point, Belinda. Excellent point. I think most of what the CDC is suggesting here is what we should have been and should be how we live our lives at all times, right? I think that's a great point. And there comes that accountability piece again, where in a way we have all the answers that we need to help ourselves. We're capable of helping ourselves, but for some reason we don't. And that's the part that we have to get in touch with, right? So yes, we know that deep breaths and stretching and meditation and eating healthy and not smoking cigarettes and sleeping we know all of that, yet we're not doing it, and that's the problem. Or if we are doing it, we're not doing it consistently. And so I think we have the solutions, but part of coping is figuring out why we're not using the solutions. So just something to think about. With that said, let me smoke a cigarette, which is another unhealthy coping mechanism, but it's also a bad habit. Oh my gosh, yes, Stephanie. That's the other part too, not being able to see our family members. I have a nephew, and thankfully I do get to see him regularly, but I couldn't imagine not being able. Yes, smoking is my pause. Okay, this is my relationship with my Coping skills. Yeah, same. If I'm not smoking, then I'm eating chocolate. If I'm not even eating chocolate, then I'm, I don't know, eating pizza. If I'm not eating pizza, then I'm smoking. And it's just, it's hard. This statement right here says it all. I have really good coping skills. I just don't cope. Yeah. I know I'm not alone. We're never alone. So, yeah, but that's another thing too, with society and everyone being so worried about everyone else's health that I've gotten cussed out before for smoking in a smoking area in a public place because I got cussed out because it's bad for my health by this person. So I thought that was helpful. I'm certainly solved all of my problems. There goes that sarcasm. Wait. Oh my God, Stephanie. I don't know about that. I don't think I'm prepared to cope with that. What do you mean, Angelina? Do I agree with everything that AD believes? I mean, I don't know what all he believes, but if you could be more specific, are we talking about like the case or? How did I get on the AD train? There's a train. So I'll make it quick, but so before, okay, I'm trying to figure out where to start. So I'll start with myself. I have been following true crime since like Jodi Arias, like always been interested in true crime, but I never followed any YouTube creators. I quite frankly thought like lives were boring. I was more into like documentaries, and I would watch all the trials that they have on, what is it called? Law and Crime Network, I think. And so that's what I would do. And I would, research cases, read discoveries, like do all of that stuff, everything that I'm doing now, basically, but without the whole YouTube creator thing. And around the time when I left the prison, when I stopped working at the prison, is when his interview was released with the agent. And when the interview was released, okay, back up though. Before agents came to see him, like when he was transferred over, obviously, like I was aware of him, and I'd known about him having a picture. And so, like, I was upset with the way the prison handled it, because I know that victims' pictures, memorabilia, whatever you want to call it, is not allowed. Simple as that. I mean, I've watched guards confiscate pictures, letters. I've seen them shut down phone calls because there's no contact with victims in any form. So I knew of the picture, and I was upset that it was handled that way, because I am a bit extreme in my thinking, where, you know, if it's allowed for one person, others should have an opportunity to do the same. And I'm not saying that everyone should be allowed, but if there is going to be any sort of distinction between, okay, you can have this and you can't have the same thing, there should be like a clear way as to why, to determining why they can have it or why they cannot have it. Do you see what I mean? Like, there should be a procedure in place. And I just wasn't happy with, well, you know, it's at our discretion kind of thing, when there are other individuals who are incarcerated for crimes that are nearly as violent, or there aren't even violent. Let's say, I don't know, you know, but definitely not murdering your family. Let's say someone gets a DUI or whatever, and they can't communicate with their family because, I don't know, maybe a minor was in the car at the time or something. And so they can't have a picture of their kid, but, you know, another guy can. And I don't know. So it didn't seem fair to me. So when the interview came out, I realized that he mentioned it in his interview. He said, you know, I have a picture and I talk to them every day or whatever. And I was like, oh, perfect. It's public knowledge now. It's public information. So, and so that's when I thought, well, maybe, you know, maybe I should listen to these YouTubers and see what they're talking about. And maybe we can start a petition, or just bring some awareness to this. And I started my research, and around that time, AD was all over the place with the shadows, and then the interview happened, and then in the interview, he acknowledged, like, yes, you know, there are, or they didn't die at home, and there are shadows. I did put him in my truck alive and all of that. And so I figured, wow, okay. So then I watched one of his lives where he had Carly Gouzet's biological mother on in chat. And I thought, oh, cool, you know, I never realized how interactive this community is. This is turning into a really long story, but even though I said long story short, but yeah. So this is a short version. So I sent him an email and I said, you know, hey, I worked in a prison where, you know, CW was at, and I noticed in his confession he said he has a picture, and I'm aware of that picture, and then I told him what I just told you guys, and that's how it started. Yes, it is. And now look at us. So yeah, and I'd been reading about the case, obviously, as it was happening. I watched the interviews and all of that. And so that's how it happened. Yeah, there's a fine line, I guess. Like I can see both sides. I can definitely see both sides. And so that was really the position that I was taking. Like it's not it's not common practice. So that was my concern. If we're going to have him, if we're going to allow it for him, then why can't we do it for others? Like they go through the extent of even like cutting newspapers. If there's anything in the newspapers that shows pictures of crimes committed by the inmates that are currently there, and they'll cut them out, they'll redact them, they'll do all of that extra stuff, but then you say, oh, but it's okay for you to have this picture. um I don't know, it just seemed unfair. What do you mean, did the FBI ever contact me? I mean, the answer is no, but where did that come from? Donna, I made an entire video about that. We need like the 2500. So, but yeah, all of that is in the video called Frederick Files, so you can check it out. No, I did not lose my job. I resigned before I talked to AD. I was not working with the Department of Corrections at the time when I reached out to Armchair Detective, which was end of March. Yeah, Angelina, I just wasn't sure. Like, I want to make sure that I'm answering your question accurately. You know what I mean? So I was wondering where that comes from. Like, if it's something that you saw or whatever, you know? Yes, he got files from the Weld County Sheriff's Office, I believe, or either Weld County or Boulder County, or even the Denver Diagnostic and Reception Center. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check, but no, they're not the same files. The files that AD has are files that are from jail when Chris was already arrested. The Frederick files are the files of the investigation that are mostly already in discovery, but we're looking for the phone dumps, among other. Hi, Summermoon, welcome. Oh, I enjoyed that conversation very much, Donna, with Mr. Swatton. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was very excited to hear from him because he's very wise and he has a lot of good insight. I like listening to people who are like I don't know, like an encyclopedia, basically. No matter what topic you ask or throw that way, they have something very insightful to share. Thank you, Queen Moomin. Thank you so much. Yes, I will definitely put that towards the files. Why do you think they gave Chris a book about murder? Honestly, when I get questions, I try to think back to the first time that I read that information, just to reflect back on what I thought of it at the time before I knew everything and everyone, and before I started theorizing on things. Just when I thought of it as just a point of information with nothing attached to it. And from my own experience working there, I think that initially I thought that it was coincidental, like the guard who gave him the book or whatever, like didn't know or didn't care, or was just negligent in that sense. It was unintentional, maybe something like that. And then like the alternative of it obviously being that, okay, it was intentional and maybe he wanted Chris to get something out of the particular book that he gave him. So, and if I haven't really paid too much attention to that book in particular, but like I would wanna, if I was to look into it, I would want to find out what the book is about. Like, what would the guard potentially want him to read or see in this book or whatever, if that was the case. But I don't know. I just think it was just chance, maybe. Where? It's snowing where? It's raining here, and you literally live like an hour away from me, so. Hi, Brandywine. Welcome. Oh my gosh. That's interesting. You think so, Mary? What do you think? What do you think the message was from your experience? Megan, remind me, was he in suicide watch at the time when he got the book? I don't remember. Or was he just in regular protective custody? Because I don't know if they're on suicide watch. I don't believe that they are allowed to have anything really other than like a blanket, if they can like prove that they can keep themselves safe. I just want them to be safe. I don't know, Curdy. I don't know if I subscribe to the idea of there being like an explosion in the first place. I'm not quite there yet. It's a possibility. I mean, you can certainly put some of the pieces of the evidence together to think in that way. But I don't know. Like, I just don't see why Anadarko would choose someone like CW to execute this entire farce, and what would be the motive and the purpose. So I don't know. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I don't think that NK's dad was involved with any of the criminal acts or anything like that. I honestly believe that NK got scared at some point on Monday or, whenever, and didn't know what to do. So she panicked and called her parents and asked them to help her out. And I think at that point is when NK's dad became involved in that. He was acting as her attorney and chaperoning her to her law enforcement interviews. Like, if they're not safe, like, if they're not here, like, where are they? Because, like, when they're not here, like, they're where? And I just want them to, like, be safe, like, and, like, maybe they're, like, huddled in a corner somewhere, but if they're not there, where are they? Like, oh, Faraway Eyes, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. Okay, I just got a message. He was in close watch from November 5th through November 26th. Doesn't say anything about suicide watch on the records. Okay. So he was on close watch from the 5th through the 26th, which is the 5th is the day before his plea thing, right? And then, yeah. And when did he get the book? So he wasn't on suicide watch. It was close watch, which is most likely that prison's way of saying protective custody, or we're keeping an eye on him. Oh, thank you. Can I put that up, Emma? For those who are interested. We're so good at like sidetracking because here we are talking about the case again, even though. But this is self-care, right? We're collectively avoiding our stress by distracting ourselves with bigger questions. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait. Were NK's phone calls to her dad and Jim different before Murder Monday than compared to after? I love questions like this. Let's look at it together. This is the nerdy side of me where I'm like, yes, we get to look at data. All right, 1 second. Let me find myself. All right. I'm going back to my little thing here. What was the question again? Phone calls to Jim different. Why is this like this? Oh, maybe I should. All right, this is Murder Monday. So here's her famous phone call at 6:16 a.m. And let's see, before that, she talked to Chris, Jim, when she came home from the museum, quote unquote. She's messaging Charlotte. She calls Jim. She calls her mom. She talks to her mom and her sister on that Saturday before her big night. And Chris, I don't see, let me see if I can. Here she talks to her mom. That's on the 8th, around 8 o'clock. And that's a couple of hours after Chris left her house, actually. She talks to her mom, and then she talks to her friend. And while this is going on, Chris and Shanann are arguing. Like, this is literally right after they came. So check this out. He went to her house at 3. He left her house at 6 while Shanann was home. This is the 8th, right? Oh, is AD here? I wasn't paying attention. There he is. Hi, AD. Welcome. So, yeah, so this is the 8th. And they came back from North Carolina. Shanann is at home with the girls. Chris is out working. At 3 o'clock, he goes to her house for the second time, I think, in his work truck. But this is the first time that he's going to her house while Shanann is at home. And he changes something to her contact, which I'm assuming he probably like muted his notifications or blocked her even, or did something so that he can be undisturbed. And he stayed there until 6 p.m., knowing damn right that at 7 p.m. they have a ultrasound scheduled, which, by the way, Shanann was saying, I'm going to take Bella with me because he doesn't deserve to go, which didn't end up happening. He did go with her. So at 6:20, he got home. I'm assuming they left right away. At 7 p.m., they had the ultrasound. While he's at the ultrasound, holding Shanann's hand, NK is Googling marrying your mistress and then calling Jim, calling her mom, calling her Jim. And then finally, to wrap her night up, she calls Chris, talks for 87 minutes while Shanann is Googling emotion-focused therapy and couples therapy. So that's that pattern. But after I got sidetracked. After the murders, okay, let's see. So let's see. So she called Jim at 3:30 on Murder Monday. This is on her way home from work. So she called him right before she got home, I guess. Then the next call was some Charles guy. I don't know who that is, which was Monday around 5. Then she went back and forth with him. Let's see, when did she call? So she talks to him again all night. This is when the sheets were stinky, allegedly, and there was nothing. That's when she told him to just pawn the effing thing. And then their last call was at 2 a.m. So Tuesday morning, or like Monday into Tuesday morning, was their last call. And the first call after that she made was the next morning. Her mom called her, then she called some guy from work. So she on the 14th was at work at 8:44, or actually 6:50. Damn, she went in super early on Tuesday. But then, doesn't that guy's notes say that she clocked in? Wait, or did she clock out at noon, or clocked in at noon? I don't know. I have to figure this out. And then she calls her mom around 1. And at this point, okay, so she must have clocked out at noon because she's in Henderson at this point, meaning obviously that she's not in Platteville anymore. And then around 2:30, she's calling Jim. And Jim comes over again. So remember, we only know about Jim being there on Monday, but she says sneaks in that Jim was there on Tuesday as well in one of the interviews. And while he's there, she's Googling how to get rid of messages. And then the next day, Wednesday, she calls her dad and her mom and her dad. And then she calls the police department. She calls the tip line. This is the tip line. So I wouldn't say that it's dramatically different from her regular pattern, but definitely the Google search history taking place before she called the tip line, where she was searching how do cops retrieve messages or whatever. And she's doing that, But at that point, we don't have any evidence that she's talked to her dad, at least not like talked. I don't know if they texted each other. So we can't say that like her dad told her, yeah, get rid of all that. At least at this point, unless there's other stuff that could say, okay, I'm rambling way too much. So let me go back and check in with you guys. Welcome, Jojo Spencer. Yes, they never checked her. Wait, where did it go? They never checked her Facebook Messenger because she stated that she does not have any social media at all. Oh no, what happened? Sorry. Is AD still here? Yes, she's being proactive. I'm here, Christine. I get quiet when I'm reading or distracted. Yeah, she called someone that morning at, let's see. Well, first of all, let me see if there's anything on Monday that I see. So yeah, like her only calls on Monday are, here, let me put this up so that I'm not making anything up. All right. I removed it. All right, so 6:16 is her first call that morning, and she's in Frederick. And then the call after that isn't until she calls Jim at 3:32, and she's pinging in Brighton. So yeah, I mean, she probably was at work, but the timeline is a little bit like she doesn't have any calls whatsoever, which is another reason why I want those phone dumps, because she says that in one interview, she says that they texted a lot that morning, but then she says, oh no, but we were just so busy. Sometimes we don't talk at all. And that's totally normal, so. Yeah. Oh, at least you still put makeup on, Angelina. All right, guys. We've been on for almost an hour and a half. We've gotten derailed. I hope this was helpful for you. I know it was fun for me. I'm sad that no one called in. But we should do this more often. I think this was therapeutic, for me at least. Yes, definitely. Hi, Getting Lippy. Welcome. Welcome back, Caffeine Q. Okay, so yeah, like I said, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your experiences, your thoughts. We got a little bit derailed, but that's okay. That's self-care too. And take care of yourselves. Yeah, we could make this a thing, like a Sunday event, Sunday afternoon talk. Let's do it. I think that's a great idea. So let's do this again next Sunday then. Thanks, everyone, and stay safe, and I will see you next week.